China a few years ago, we had a few stories published by bloggers about the SARS epidemic. This is a story that was not covered at all in the traditional media. But by the time bloggers did it, the story was spreading around, and at the end of the day, the government was forced to address the issue and to go from a complete news blackout to actually an intensive coverage aimed at showing, not only at educating people, but also at showing that the government was doing something about it. In Burma as well, we've seen a widespread coverage of the events of 2007. This is something that was pretty new. I mean, we could see live the images of the repression of monks in the event in 1988 were absolutely not covered right away. We heard about the repression, the bloodshed, weeks and sometimes months after this happened. But internet as a tool for freedom has also been seen by some government as a threat, and a threat to domestic stability, control. I don't know if you've seen it, but Reporters Without Borders has a list of the enemies of the internet. We have 12 very nice countries that are being shown in this list. Among the 12 enemies of the internet, we have 5 countries from the Middle East and North Africa region: Egypt, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and Tunisia. Plus a special mention for countries that still need to be careful about what they do with internet: Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, and Yemen. And those governments who are worried about groups able to organize without their approval have been cracking down on the internet, on the free flow of information online. They've been using different tools: internet filtering or blocking, monitoring of users online, jailing of cyber dissidents. We have today 78 of them in jail, mainly in China, but also in Syria, in Tunisia, in Egypt. And harassment of users, of course, summonses, subpoenas, travel bans, and so on, with the family being targeted from time to time. The governments use different pieces of legislation for that, either press codes, or they use a penal code, or emergency laws, as in Egypt, or internet-specific laws or decrees. And today we also find ourselves in a situation where, while leaders of countries around the world are investing more and more money in technology centers and broadband systems, some of these countries, mostly repressive governments at the same time, are continuing to invest in censorship technologies to prevent their citizens from accessing a wide range of objectionable content. And some of these technologies are sold by Western companies. I think Claire talked about that earlier, so I'm not going to get into this much more. The good thing is internet savvy users have fought back. It's kind of a cat and mouse game between internet users, social media activists, and the governments. They use proxies, circumvention tools such as Anonymizer and Tor, but also some tools who are being developed originally. They also use encryption tools to hide their identity. We have an entire chapter dedicated to this on Reporters Without Borders website in our handbook for bloggers and cyber dissidents. Another interesting thing is how to see, how these internet users have proven to be very resourceful when they want to get around censorship. I'm going to take another example about China, but you were talking about Tiananmen Square before. There are several hundreds of keywords banned and blocked on the internet in China, just referring to Tiananmen massacre. It's also because the internet users in China have been very resourceful. They have actually sometimes misspelled some names, or they would put a slash inside Tiananmen into the word. So they've been playing around with the censors. So there are ways to to deal with it. And another funny thing is, instead of saying tanks related to Tiananmen Square, they are talking about tractors. So it was pretty funny during the last anniversary of Tiananmen. You could have some information if you have a little bit of sense of humor. One of the biggest challenges for the bloggers and the internet users in those countries where internet is not completely free is to stay relevant for the rest of society, to address issues that matter to people, that make a difference. And we all know that bloggers are more isolated and thus more vulnerable than traditional reporters to repression from governments and other groups. They have less access to financial help or legal advice, and we need to see more solidarity between bloggers, not only at the national level, not only at the regional level, but also at the international level. It's true that some bloggers associations are being formed, but there's still a long way to go to be able to defend together bloggers' rights and access to information on the internet. And all internet users, not only bloggers, can together play a role on, endangering a country's image and reputation to push for more freedom online, called upon international organizations such as the UN and the EU. So I'm just going to stop there.